I buy 90 eggs every 2 weeks. I go through a lot of eggs.
Where are you housing these eggs?
His
Right here,
refrigerator.
This is where I'm housing them.
Or the gun show.
That's where I'm housing them. What up, y'all? Today's episode of the RV Voice is brought to you by RVFix. And let me tell you, if you've ever found yourself stranded with an RV issue miles from the nearest service center, you know how frustrating that can be. Well, that's where RVFix comes in. Imagine having a master RV tech right in your pocket. Yeah, you heard that right. With RVFix, all it takes is a quick phone call and boom, you're connected via video call with an expert who can guide you through fixing your issue, saving you both time and money. Then here's the kicker. Try RVFix risk-free with a 14-day free trial. You'll need to enter your card number just like most subscriptions, but don't worry, you won't be charged until after the trial ends. If you decide to continue, please use the code RVVoice at checkout. This really helps support the RV Voice and keeps us going strong, and we really appreciate it. Seriously, guys, this is a game changer. Stay on the road and keep your RV in tip-top shape with RVFix. Learn more at RVFix.com. What up, y'all? This is Jake Bartunik with the RV Voice, and today we have a take two. We had a technical difficulties with a file of this one. Someone deleted it. Made me grrr. But anyway, so we're back on again. And they're doing, they actually met them in the midst of this time. So I actually interviewed them early January. Then I went down to Tampa and actually met them in person. And we're going to actually have them back on. It is Mark and Val with the Travel Show and Val's Reviews. Yeah. Woo, 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 woo.
All right.
We are back.
Who deleted it? Who are we canceling?
Oh, believe me, he knows that I'm angry with him. So he's buying me a giant fritter, basically an apple. I love apple fritters. It's like I'm an old man when it comes to like sweets and stuff. And at Albertsons is a big grocery chain out here in the West.
Yeah.
They have apple fritters like that are cakes. They're like giant. They're the size of a plate and they're like this thick. Yeah.
I like it.
Sounds so good.
Tell him to get one of us.
It's fantastic. So he's got to buy me one of those, and I'll decide if I want to forgive him.
Well, it's nice to see you again.
Thank you. Likewise.
All right.
So 4.5 years on the road, starting your fifth or somewhere in the midst of that. Let's kind of dive into your journey. Like what happened, why you started it, what inspired you, and then just share how it all started for y'all.
Well, so we lived in Chicago. We lived in a house, sticks and bricks house. And one day I came home and I said, hey, you know what would be a good idea? Let's buy an RV. And immediately those words left my mouth. And Mark goes on his laptop and goes, and then he's just like,
we bought an RV.
No. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, oh no.
Rewind back.
So then, okay, so we're on Facebook Marketplace looking at RVs, and we come across this first RV, go to see it, buy it on the spot. We know nothing about RVs, did no research prior to this. We didn't even research, like, what's the most reliable engine, right? Like a normal person would.
I don't know what RV stands for.
And we bought it. Yeah, we bought it for $13,000. Thank you, Mark.
What does it even stand for? Is that
recreational vehicle?
Ruins vacations.
That is true.
That's what I've been told through the, other places.
that is true. Very true.
Yeah.
So then we gutted it and remodeled it and made it our own and started to vacation in it. That vacation went from 2 weeks to 4 months.
Just kept adding, and we kind of liked it too much.
We did.
Yeah.
Meeting all these families, you meeting all these people, just kind of kept going and going. It was really good.
And then after that, we decided to go back home to Chicago, where we have our house, and sell our house. It sold within 3 days.
Oh, crap.
I know. Yeah. It was like
well, we came back and we said if we sell our house for a crazy price, then we'll do it. Then we'll go, and it did instantly too. So it's like 3 days in an absurd price for that.
So this is right around 2019, 2020.
2020.
Yes.
So 2020 is when we bought the RV, and then like 4 months later into 2020 is when we sold the home.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was basically right at the beginning of COVID when it really started smacking. Okay.
Yeah. Right then.
And I guess, can I dive into it a little bit back, Mark? I mean, I met you now, so I kind of have an idea on your vibe and who you are.
Really?
Yeah, just a little bit. Because, same. But anyway,
Yeah.
the dive in or the baptism by fire, is that a normal thing for you guys? Because it's like, you're just like, all right, we should move into an RV. And then all of a sudden, a week or so later, or however long it was, you just go buy your first one. And you're like, this is the one. Is that normal?
No.
I mean, yeah, it depends what part of life, right? I tend to be.
For us, it is.
Yeah,
We're just so spontaneous. We're like beyond spontaneous. We're like, plans, who needs them? Let's go do stuff.
Yeah.
What are those?
And it goes back to just the way I always do things. I was like, okay, that's cool. That's a new thing. That's shiny, right? Let's entertain it. Let's try it. Let's start a new business. Let's try a new car. Let's try a new thing. Let's try a new restaurant. It was kind of like that. Normal simple stuff.
Yeah, so you just dove into it a little bit, I guess, faster than most people would. You didn't really have a preparation and planning stage, right? So you just kind of went out, bought the RV, sold the house shortly after. What did that look like, I guess, prepping and planning to go full-time then? Because it was a quick transition, it sounds like. And most of these are. I've only had a couple that was like a 3-month transition. And they're very, most of them were like, we're doing it. No, I've never seen one I've never talked to anybody that says like, it took a year to go full-time. No, it's like, we're going, and it happens.
I'm guessing most of the people you talk to are also like in that. Well, if they could do it because of their business, they have like a business or some kind of work that allowed them, or is they're working remote. Like everybody was allowed to work remote, so they're like, oh yeah, let's just do it, right? You got X amount of time left in your life, let's just do it. And a lot of the families we met, it all happened during COVID, which is like COVID or slightly after COVID.
Yep.
And it's like timing type of scenario, right? You can't do anything anymore, so you might as well just jump on it, right?
Definitely easier back then, I would say, for sure.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, like everybody was working remotely, like no one's going into the office. So
I see. Yeah.
We could work from home and make this happen and live, in like
wherever.
Colorado or something. And so
that's why there was a major kick of sales, So like when we had 2020, I missed it. I was 2021 when I started in the business, but I was still riding off the back end of the wave a little bit. And the 2020, I mean, like there was nothing could buy because like everyone bought it out, and there was nothing coming in because you couldn't get anything, and the parts were scarce, obviously from tariffs and whatever that may be, and this like overseas things were going bad, and it was just a bad time. But housing was sold like crazy, and so did RVs. And that's why, the remote thing. And then I really don't think that our full-time RV life is getting any smaller. I think it's only getting bigger, honestly, just because of what COVID, I guess, the opportunity that COVID brought to us. The working remote. It's cheaper for people to work remote because they're not in an office space. They don't have to own that land or own that property to do that for a business. And they can everybody works remote. So then people bought RVs and then they start leaving. So I really don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think it's only going to get bigger and bigger as we go forward. So kudos to you guys for starting when the wave started.
for sure.
Well, COVID exposed a lot of the school issues too. So everybody had to go get out of school. So you have all these parents that are sitting there learning how their kids are not even taught at all. So COVID gave that opportunity to just figure out like, oh, this actually sucks. The public school system is not where I thought it was. Our kids are not where we thought it was. So that's kind of the other side of it. It's like, why go back to it if you can, like, even if it's not the full RV, it's like, why just go back to that system, right?
Yeah. Well, you can say the same for the 9-to-5 world. You know, the normality of the 9-to-5, the monotony of it all. There's a reason, like, I still want to start my own business. Like, I like what I do. Truthfully, I love what I do. Not everybody has that, but it's the freedom of it, right? And so the monotony of it all. And I don't really we'll talk more on homeschooling here shortly because I love that. I love talking about that. But you guys didn't have really a plan of when you chose your first RV. Why did you land on a motorhome though? Because it was a motorhome? Is that why?
We had a Jeep at that time, and so we were like, it just makes life much easier. We don't have to buy a truck. We don't have to go looking for a truck. And
Well, no, we didn't get the Jeep right. We got the Jeep later.
Are you sure?
Yes, we got the Jeep later. We had an Infinity then. So we got a motorhome just because it was the first one we saw, was the first one we bought. So we didn't actually do the research to know what was needed, but we also didn't have the pickup truck to even look at the other ones. So I guess that would be the reason we chose motorhome. Because if we had a pickup truck, maybe we would have checked out fifth wheels or something.
Oh, okay.
So first motorhome we saw is the first motorhome we bought. And then later on we figured out, oh, you can't even just tow any random car. We couldn't just tow our car. So we had to buy a Jeep afterwards. So we bought two things. We bought a Jeep and a motorhome.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it was more so there's the fact that you didn't have the truck, and it kind of played into the whole thing.
Yep.
Most people have at least some sort of vehicle like that at some point in time. You guys living in Chicago, you didn't need a truck, right? You had everything around you with a car. And so, yeah, that makes sense. Not too crazy on the motorhome side of things.
Well, even that, most people don't just carry around an F-350 or a 3500 truck. Like, just don't have it, right? I know a normal person who, unless they got a construction company, just happens to have one lying around,
Yeah. Yeah, it makes total sense.
So, but that was that.
So the Jeep came after, it came same time. You still have this? Is it still the same Jeep?
Still the same Jeep. Yeah, we got it from Carvana. It was kind of cool. It's that whole the vending machine car system. You buy it, you put a coin in a slot, the car comes down, does a little dance, rotates around, opens its doors, all that fun stuff, and then you get it.
It was a cool experience.
Yeah.
Look how shiny and new I am.
Well, that's what I did. It just spun around.
Exactly like that.
Look at me. Look at me. You're going to be driving me home today.
There we go.
Oh, goodness gracious. That's fun. Okay. So question then for you guys, how would you, or what advice would you give someone trying to pick their first RV to go full time? Because you guys did a little different. You're like, hey, for your situation, it worked out, right? And you're still working out because you're still in a motorhome. You are right now in an alliance, but we can talk about that later. So what advice would you give someone that's trying to look for their first RV?
Ooh, I would definitely do the research as to the layouts. If you're doing a motorhome, like how reliable is it? And what year is it? Because a lot of these motorhomes, they either have a DEF system or, they're reconfigured differently. Like we learned that our motorhome now, to take it apart, to do any fixing to like the radiator is very, very complicated. Very tucked in away, and then later on they fix that issue. So look at the year and the layouts.
If you're like somebody who wants a motorhome, like let's say you want them, there's the pluses and minuses, right? Without a doubt, anybody who's been in a motorhome will say, I absolutely love the motorhome. I absolutely love it. The views, the family, you can walk around. Wife can make you a sandwich if you want one. You can go to the bathroom, right? It's great.
Yeah,
it's great. But the caveat is you're limited in space now, right? So you're gonna have less space, and you think about, okay, well, is 5% of your entire life in a year of just driving worth it for having less space? Like you can't have separate bedrooms, at least not normal ones, maybe bunks. I mean, we've been in it all of our life, but then you go into some of these fifth wheels and you're like, man, this is huge. It's big. But at the same time, with the motorhome, you can pull your own car. So we don't have to have this ginormous pickup truck, going to Publix getting fried chicken in an F-350. It's too big. There's not enough parking space, right?
Or you don't have to do we know some families that have a pickup truck and an extra car to navigate around the country. That's two people driving.
Yeah. That's a lot of
double the gas.
Yeah. Well, the one thing about the motorhome, because you use a dolly, right? So you pull it.
Yeah.
You can't back up. Or can you?
No, not really.
Yeah.
Because now with the Jeep, the way the Jeep is, you can't. Well, okay. So I don't use a dolly. Ours is actually connected directly to the Jeep. So it's a flat tow. It's one of that's why we got the Jeep, is that we can just completely tow it. We don't need a separate dolly, and that's it.
Okay.
So.
But it's a forward must.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Only. We learned it the hard way.
Yeah.
Okay, sidetrack. We went into this is our first time ever driving this thing, and God bless Mark's heart. He went into a gas station and went in kind of like too far, so he had to like back it up. But we were like at an angle, so we're like jackknifing the Jeep, and he's like, "Get in the Jeep and like do like that."
Oh my God!
Around. And I was like, "No, the tires are like screeching across, the pavement." I'm like, "That's not a good idea." So I'm like, "Let's scratch that," and we ended up disconnecting and then dislocating the Jeep.
Connecting was right the first time.
Yeah, disconnecting and then do it again. Right. So lesson learned. Forward only.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yikes.
Cool. Like one of my favorite things with a motorhome, like going back to like somebody who wants it. I love stopping on rest areas when it's like raining and stuff, because then you just you park, turn it off, close the windows, watch a movie and go to bed. It's right there. Mm-hmm. With the fifth wheel, you park, you'd have to run outside in the middle of the rain to try and get home, open the slides, because a lot of them you actually can't get to certain areas. The slides are closed. With us, you can walk all the way to the back. So not all the fifth wheels you can't access without slides open. So it's just little perks there. But again, you got to consider it. Is the driving a lot of fun, that percentage of driving versus just living in it? And two very, very different strategies. And we're just used to one, but space is huge. I love the idea of having a lot of space too, because the kids are getting older now. And now what do? We need separate rooms.
Yeah, that's interesting, because it's what is your layout? Is it just like a regular rear bedroom on that? Mm-hmm. So yeah. Where do the kids sleep now? So
we built out a bunk bed in the back, and we take the front with like the couch area, the kitchen.
We sleep in our kitchen.
Yeah.
Oh, really? So you guys got the big kitchen space.
Yeah, dude. Heck yeah, snacks all night long,
Midnight snacks, you don't have to wake anybody up. That's different. I figured it would be you guys back there in the mainstay. There's a couple other people that do like, Heart and Soul, David and Kirsten. Yep. So they have a toy hauler, and they took the toy hauler as a master bedroom. So the toy hauler garage space, they made they pimped theirs out. Sweet. Super cool.
That's what I would do too. That's cool. Like taking the toy hauler, because then you kind of have a hangout spot if you open up the back. I like the idea of the toy hauler being the master suite, because you can really. It's probably in the front end, because there's actually one RV that's really cool. The DRV, they actually took the front end and just put bunks on opposite sides, right? So you have a bunk there and a bunk there. So it's cool because the kids are now separate, right? In a fifth wheel, all the way on the top of the cone, and you get to pretty much the garage. I like that idea. That's actually a pretty cool idea if we were to do something like that.
Yeah, but then you have to get a truck.
Unless we get a really cool truck.
Yeah.
Not even a 350, not even a 450, maybe a 650.
Oh, one of those things you have to climb up into, literally. Like, go to get up on the gas tank and, like, climb in. It's like one of those Transformer things. You remember the first Transformers, that black one? Oh, it's it might have been a Chevy, but it was sweet. Whatever it was.
It's a GMC. Yeah, those things are the 6500. They're huge. Yeah.
They're massive.
Like one of those. And there you go. And you can, like, ride around in that. That's not bad. I'll do that.
Dude, that's big pimping at that point.
I'm no lie.
No lie.
Or no cap, as the young ones say it.
No cap. Yeah, I remember when that word came out, to be honest with you. My mom says she remembers when the word awesome came around. I'm like, no, Mom, you're not that old. Like, you're not like how awesome came out like 1700s. Yeah, she's like, she just remembers it like when it became like a thing to say awesome.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, all right. Well, I remember when Cap came out. I remember when Can. You remember when Can came out?
Can?
You were so can. Like, you're just trash. Like, it's like so stupid. I was never one to use words like such, but
yeah,
it was not me. All right. Now it's what?
Cooked.
Cooked. You're cooked?
COOKED.
I was cashed. I went surfing on Saturday, just last Saturday. And yeah, you could say I was cooked. I was cooked by like 30 minutes. I was in San Diego. Yeah, I didn't think it was more so like I couldn't paddle. I haven't paddled like that for like years, right? I haven't swam like that for years. And my right shoulder never came back after I broke my collarbone. So like I could not paddle. Like you know, when you're like benching or working out and you're like the last rep, I'm sure you're going through it right now, Val, with like, you know, cutting, but like that last, like, I can't, like you do one and like, I ain't even got it. They get down to like, that's what happened on my shoulder. It was just giving out. I was battling, but I wasn't going anywhere.
You went past failure.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
It hurts.
It didn't even hurt. It's just like, it was like that numb feeling. Just like, what am I, it's not even working.
I even have an arm.
Yeah, it was so bad. I felt so bad. I was like, well, now I'm mad. I'm mad at myself. So I've been doing nothing but back workouts since I got back.
How was San Diego?
Huh?
San Diego, did you like it? Like at the actual city itself, did you spend any time in San Diego or just on the water?
No, I love San Diego. I didn't go to San Diego this time. I flew into San Diego and went up to Carlsbad and Cardiff area. I love San Diego. I love Southern California. It's just like, it kind of screams me. When I show up, I literally show up and get on the Uber. I've been there twice. I get on the Uber. I get in the Uber. Got in the Uber the first time. He's like, where'd you go? Like, what do you mean? He's like, where I'm taking you is where you live, right? I'm like, no, I'm not from here. And then I got there again this last time. So where'd you go? Same thing happened. Two totally different people. Like, well, maybe third time, not second time.
You're like a local.
San Diego would be, I always, like, everybody always talks when I say my dream place to live has to have a beach, a big city, and mountains, and good yearly good weather. Unless you're going to Europe, everybody says it's San Diego. That's the only one that has the beach, the mountains, and the big enough city, right? The city's got to hold at least a Whole Foods. Like, that's how big. Like, some cities, they have all of that, but there's not enough for like a Whole Foods and a Trader Joe's.
It has to be a Whole Foods. Has to be Whole Foods or Trader Joe's.
That's so for me. It's not that hear me out. It's not that I'm gonna go or not go to it. It's that it means there's a certain type of aura to the city, a class to the city. Like, there's enough money to start a business. Like, if you have a Whole Foods, there's rich people, and if there's rich people, you can make money, right? So it becomes a business type thing, right? So you just know that that particular city is big enough to sustain whatever business you want to go into. For me, that's like just to get like, city operates more so than the actual Whole Foods, right?
Entrepreneurial brain thinking outside of that.
Hey,
it's true though. I mean, yeah, I moved to a big city for like, so especially for sales wise. I mean, you can only do so much in a rural area, right? I mean, like, that's why I was a sales guy, and I was like, well, I kind of like that smaller city, not big city. I knew I could do really well, like a big car dealership, and I didn't want to live that life. But if you leave it, like, how do you make money just in sales? I'm like, well, then there's ag sales. I'm like, but I don't want to do that because, you know,
want to sell eggs?
Grew up around it. Ag, A-A-G.
Wait, ag. Oh,
ag. We're from the Midwest, dude. You should know that.
That makes sense too. Like, in a rural area, there's just a bunch of chicken farms. You're going around pitching eggs to people.
Well, there'd be more than that. Seed sales and stuff like that. But yeah, same time.
That makes sense. I heard EGG.
Egg sales. That's what I do. I stand on the side of the road. Egg sales. Right now, eggs are not cheap. I bought 60 eggs last night for $21.97 at Walmart. I was mad. I used to buy those for $12 a pop.
60 eggs last night. What do you need last night 60 eggs for?
I buy 90 eggs every 2 weeks. I go through a lot of eggs.
Where are you housing these eggs?
His refrigerator.
This is where I'm housing them.
Or the gun show.
That's where I'm housing them.
Wait, are you home right now, or are you still in San Diego?
No, I'm actually home. Yeah. I had connection issues all week. I had to reschedule 3 times this week. So yeah, I'm at home and I'm using my hotspot and my Wi-Fi because it's better than what I had at work apparently. So
yeah.
At least this week has been rough. I've done 60 episodes just fine, and this week is just like nah.
Wait, 60 podcasts?
Yeah, I do 2 every week. I've been doing it since July.
Dang,
yeah.
Fancy.
Yeah, we fancy. We're trying real hard here. It's gonna be next year. It'll be like over 200, so it'll be sweet.
Hey, you know what? Awesome. You're almost catching up to Joe Rogan. You're almost there, man.
Yeah, 2,000. If I just were to pop off and just beat him, I'm just gonna do like 1 episode, 2 episodes a week of just me, and then everybody else. Yeah, no way.
Just do 2 episodes a day, man. Just catch up to him and be like, I got more episodes to him, and that's all you got. That's all you can say. That's your pitch when you go to like anyone else. Like I have more episodes than Joe Rogan. That's a good pitch right there, man.
That'd be a heck of a start. Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming for
Like,
you, bro.
how many views do you have? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. I have more episodes. Yeah. That'll be my pitch to get on Joe Rogan podcast. I have more episodes than you. Oh, that'd be sweet.
Oh, man.
Okay. Well, we haven't talked about daily life and solutions. We talked about it the first time, but we're going to talk about it again because we didn't get it recorded. Oh, we did, but it got deleted. So what's a typical life look like now? Because you're in a fifth wheel, and that was different from the house, right? And then how do you manage every day? Say again?
We're in a destination trailer right now.
Okay. Right at the moment.
Yes.
So
so fifth wheel is different. It's in a destination trailer. So the fifth wheel you can like continually tow and live in. The destination trailer you just park, set it, forget it. A lot of people will park it at like a campground forever, or they'll park it on a piece of property, just something like that, right? They're slightly different because they're not meant to be moved. They're very.
It's like a tiny home on wheels.
Basically, it's a very large tiny home on wheels.
But very similar to a fifth wheel.
Yes. So how long are you in that now? You stay there for a while?
We have been here for a month.
Almost.
Oh my god!
It's going to be a month in a couple of days. So.
Is there plans to stay longer?
Yeah. We as long as we can, I guess, until we figure out what to do with our lives. We have no idea where to go from here right now. We just got to figure out what are we going to travel to, where are we going to travel to. Like we have one plan that may or may not work, and
we're here for the winter, so come summer. We gotta bounce because it gets really, really hot in Florida. Oh,
it's awful. It's not a place to be at all. I went there in February once and it was 85 degrees. I was ready to leave. I was like, this is too much. Though the humidity, it's so bad.
Yeah,
it's not the worst.
It's pretty bad.
I'll take this over the cold. Like when you're cold, it's like cool. You can do the skiing once and then you're done. And then you just sit and be depressed the whole day.
Jake,
Jake, are you going out? Are you skiing every day? Every single day? There you go.
I would love to. I'm built to be a ski bum. I just don't have the money to be a ski bum.
We should start a business. There you go.
Yeah, ski bum apparel. That's what it's going to be.
There you go. You know what?
Crush it. Ski bum. But I'm sure there's someone that's done it already. I have another one though. We could talk more.
All right.
So are you in this now? So that's a little bit of transition because now you have your own room, which is great. Yeah. So what's between the two? So let's just go with it. Motorhome to this. Like, what's the big differences? What are the challenges between the two, and what solutions have you come up with between that?
So the biggest difference is definitely the space, the amount of space. I mean, the ceiling is like it's double that amount in a Class A. Class A, you could basically touch the ceiling because you have all that underbelly. We call it the basement.
Yep.
And here we don't have an underbelly or a basement, so it's all just in the cavity of the trailer. So
yes.
And I guess the layout is completely different because we have two opposing lofts, and each kid has their own loft, which is cool. And we have our own
separate
bedroom with our own master bathroom. The kids have their own bathroom in the back. It's like a house.
We have our own pillows.
Yeah, we've always had our own pillows.
I was like, that's a question mark.
The pillows, remember, we sleep on a couch. The pillows have to go into the back bedroom. Now we never have to transport them.
Yeah, anyway.
So there you go. We have our own pillows.
we don't have
I'm just saying, if we're trying to be exact, officially our own pillows that don't get moved.
Anyways, we have our own.
All right. But anyway, you guys are settling into that pretty well. It sounds like you've been in for a month. It's probably a little better just because of space in general. But so you have where's the motorhome at right now then?
So
campground. Same campground.
It's been nice.
Just painting. We're kind of repainting it, tidying it up, cleaning it out. And we're still deciding if we're going to sell it, not sell it, maybe get something else. We have no idea what we're doing. Our life is kind of
spontaneous.
Whatever that word means. So that's our future, spontaneous.
Well, that's a good thing, right? That's the whole point of RV life. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want. You can leave. You don't have to really listen to anybody besides, paying people for their time and space where you're at, right?
Pretty much.
Oh, geez. All right. So maintenance and repairs. Is that you, Mark? Is that all you?
Yeah, I've learned how to do the general stuff, like the basic stuff. So whatever the RV, unless it's something super major, for the most part, I just fix anything and everything. Any of the plumbing, any of the basic electrical that we've had to do. When the radiator blew, that was out of my scope. But aside from that, I guess here's also like an interesting thing going back to that question that you said, like buying an RV. Val mentioned it earlier on. Our RV is new but old, right? It's new enough that it's under 20 years old, but it's old enough that we don't have a DEF system. So like we actually don't have a lot of issues. Everybody that we talk to that has a newer diesel, they'll have DEF issues. So for the most part, we've been fortunate to have almost virtually no issues. And the older RVs tend to be built differently. At least the older motorhomes, they're very sturdy, very well designed. If you start buying those RVs before the Great Recession, you'll tend to have a better vehicle in general, right? So almost nothing ever happens. But if it does, then the basics I can cover.
You got like an early 2000s model, right?
Yeah, 2006.
Yep.
Right before that 2008 crash.
Yeah.
Right. Got it right before it. You're good. Golden. So I like hitting this one. This is one I really enjoy talking about is shipping. And why is because you guys are moving around a lot, right? So do you plan out ahead of times where you're going to ship stuff, or do you use we talked about travel lockers, the Amazon lockers, talked about other like shipping to the actual places themselves. Walk us through that a little bit.
So whenever we are traveling, it is just kind of nice to get a feel of a city, right? If they have Amazon lockers, right? That's always nice. And if we get free shipments of any package to our campground, that is always a bonus because some of these campgrounds charge $5 per package, which adds up. So if you're like ordering, I goofed up once and I ordered like 8 packages and I thought it was going to come into one box. Well, not exactly. One box came, it was 8 boxes, and I had to pay $5 per package, and that was a little painful to the wallet. So, yeah. And then I learned that we could just use Amazon lockers. Like Amazon lockers are basically, they're just lockers outside of businesses or in gas stations or whatever they have collaborations with, either like stores or whatever. And you just come in, you scan your little code that Amazon gives you. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You put into the code system into the locker, opens up the locker for you, and you just grab your package and go. So it's also very nice and convenient when we're actually traveling, and I use that a lot.
A lot.
You guys, what about regular mail? You guys still have mail going to Chicago?
Yep. Everything goes like it's forwarded over.
We still have a business out there as well, so it pretty much anything legal, documents, I'll go out that way.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. It's a lot easier. Do you guys go back through Chicago quite a bit or no?
Yeah, I'm going to be flying out this Tuesday.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you said that. We talked about that a little bit ago.
Yep. We still have a business there. That's for those that are wondering. We still have a business there.
Yes. And those that are wondering, we still have a business there.
Well, you didn't mention it before. You didn't say it before.
Oh, I love it. All right. So homeschooling is something we brought up a little bit earlier, but this is where you guys kind of thrive. You have this idea of world schooling, which I really don't understand the whole aspect of what you're talking about, but it's more so these like, from what I think, it's diving into the culture somewhere else in the outside of the US, right? So like go to Asia, wherever it may be, and you kind of like world school out there. So I'm guessing you do go to like national monuments, talk about that, learn about that, and so on and so forth. Can you kind of walk us through how you homeschool and then what world schooling is?
Yeah, absolutely. So world schooling can take anywhere in the world, and we did a lot in the US. So we visited like South Dakota and, saw the presidents on a mountain and explain, you know,
Mount
what happened.
Rushmore, they call it these days.
Custer State Park. Yep, been there. Needles Highway.
Yeah.
You guys drive all the way up the Needles Highway too?
Absolutely.
I did it on a motorcycle because I'm awesome. You know?
Oh, that's awesome.
You're so cool, man.
That's legit.
Whip my hair out.
Out of your helmet.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
And so we kind of, you know, we're Washington, D.C. and visit all the free museums and all the Smithsonian's. And so that's a lot of fun, too. And
One of the first places that we went to was Gettysburg. So we got to see where that battle happened. And they have this really sweet app. You just download it and you just drive around and you hear the story and like,
it's
oh,
a tour.
dang. It's a tour.
It's a driving tour.
It's a driving tour.
Yeah, so you just basically channel in whatever the radio is.
It's GPS located.
Yes.
Yeah, so when you drive up to this area, it'll tell you like, oh,
is
look,
it through
there's
your
like
phone? I guess
through the phone. And it's like, oh, look, there's like 300 people facing this way. That guy was behind a rock. A sniper was over here. So you're like literally looking at this thing. So it was like our first taste of world schooling, and it was just telling you the mass amount of people. And the kids are sitting there listening to this stuff. So I like to say we go to the places you read about, right? So we try to visit these places whenever we're in a given city. If there's something that kind of be historical, something we can actually see, we try to get there, we try to do it. But that's the American side. And then overseas, that's when we did our Asia trip. We just bought one-way tickets and started exploring Asia.
And did the same idea, national monuments, national grounds, wherever it may be, and like learn about the stories.
Yeah, we saw like...
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. No, it was just like one of the coolest things that we saw was like North Korea. So
tried North Korean food. Tastes like Korean food, but North.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's actually really cool. I liked it. You can definitely taste the minimal amount of seasonings, right?
Oh,
well,
yeah.
I don't think they have.
Poor man's food.
Poor man's food. But it was really good because after we finished the DMZ tour, we wanted to go to a north. So we saw North Korea. You have all these guns aimed at you, drama everywhere, all this fun stuff. And
Korean drama, you would
Korean
say?
drama, yes. It's very fun.
And then we had the Korean food.
And they had the Korean food.
Which, that whole entire experience, like, that's just a glimpse of, like, our life into world schooling.
Yeah. Same idea. So, like, the same idea is like go here to go there, learn about everything around there that you see in books. Like, learning history, for me, I was down in, like, a dark room, turn on a freaking movie, and I'm just like, you know, every time. Doesn't matter. Like, I like history. I just, like, if I was, like, kinetic learning like this, like, you go out and actually do it, I would have learned so much better. You're hearing an audiobook type style. Have you guys heard of audio? Audio?
No.
Audio? No.
So it's audio, but with a T instead. Okay. It's I know Kevin Costner's like a big pusher for it, but basically you can be driving across America and it'll tell you about the towns you're going through.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome.
So it's like the same idea of what you're talking about. It would be like, oh, you know, so like where I come from, David City, Nebraska is my hometown. In the whole world, there's only one David City. Weird, right? It's a biblical name and there's only one of them. Yeah. Anyway, Hallmark started in David City.
Oh.
But not a lot of people know that. Like literally, so the 100-year Hallmark, whatever, the 100th year, they came into town and completely decked out our downtown with all Hallmark stuff. And they had like it was a big old festival type deal, but it was beautiful. So like, that's just something you'd hear on an app like that.
That's awesome. Okay, because we're big into, a lot of the times we're just listening to audiobooks when we're driving in the motorhome, and some of the audiobooks that we have been listening to with the kids a lot, at least with the kids, has more of that historical, like this area has that, this area has that, and it's just going through all of them in a very entertaining way. So that would be actually kind of cool. Yeah,
I would like to listen to it more myself. I don't know how in depth it is, but I guess I don't know. I'm getting ads for it on the phone, so I mean it's got to be decent, you know.
And Costner's talking about it. It's got to be legit.
It's got to be good. Besides the Waterworld part, you know.
Hey,
other than that, the most.
Hey, you know what? It was still epic. That was it. I did like it. It was a great idea.
I think it came around later. It was like 2-decade thing. It's like, oh, you know what? That was actually a pretty cool idea. It just didn't. It didn't hit when it was hitting.
I think it's probably one of those we're going to redo it at some point in time. It was definitely an awesome idea. So.
Someone will do it. So homeschooling and sports. Now you guys do the world schooling, you do the homeschooling as well, but you also talked about the first time you talked about music. You said you kids are musically inclined, very much so. And you also can talk about sports as well. So I wouldn't be me without athletics. I've been in sports since 5 years old to 23, and I still do co-ed sports like this. I have to. It's who I am. It's what I do. If I didn't have it, it wouldn't be me. So how does that all work for you guys, and how do you go about doing so if they wanted to pursue sports because you're on the road all the time?
So we never did sports before because we didn't know how, and then like how to do any of that stuff. So we always pursue music. I've been a musician most of my life, and so I got Emmett into music. We tried to get Ari into music. She's not connecting with it as much, but most recently we had some friends that said, hey, join this one sports thing, I-9, because we're going to be there. So we joined it, but then so this is new to us. So sports was never part of it, but now we're in sports. But it's kind of cool because it's not this huge like commitment level where you have to be on a team multiple times a week, just training your butts off. I-9 is a franchise that's like national, which I didn't know. And I'm not promoting them, they're not sponsoring us, but I just thought it's the coolest thing. So if people are RV families and you're like, hey, I can do 6 weeks here or 7 weeks here, and it's only on a Saturday, 1 hour a week, and it's just kids having fun, and you could choose flag football, soccer, baseball, or some other sport, right? I think that each franchise is different, but they're everywhere. Even where we're at in Winter Garden, there's like 6 different franchises. I looked at where we're at and where we live in Illinois. There's a bunch of franchises there. They're all over the place. So now every place we go, if we settle for 2 months, we can just plug them into a sport. They hang out with the friends, do some sports, do some bonding, and then you're done. So it's not this huge commitment, and it's all just part of this kind of cool franchise. Aria, where we're at right now in Winter Garden, we got her into sword fencing. But it's only because we're located here. But now she likes it so much where we're considering
like fencing.
Yeah,
fencing.
No kidding. Yeah, oh God. Hold on.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we just got her into that, and
so cool.
It's really cool because we feel like we're bougie parents now, living in a trailer. You know?
Polo.
We like stand there, like just looking down on people.
I'm better than you because my kid is in fencing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So I always had this thing of like, is there a particular, and I always thought about this, is like, is there a sport that we can plug in? And I never thought about fencing ever, but this makes actually the most amount of sense. Mm-hmm. Like karate and taekwondo, that's hard to plug in a different area. You have your belt, you have a teacher, different style. Fencing is none of that. It's kind of like boxing. It's just whatever your strategy is, are you good or not, you just come in and you plug in. So I actually like fencing where if we're going to be moving around and she actually enjoys it, we can literally just search around and be like, oh, they have a fencing school here. She just literally comes in and right away just starts doing her thing. So it's actually kind of a cool little thing. But those are the 2 sports that we're doing right now. Mm-hmm. Soccer and then fencing.
And did you say something about the Musician app last time?
Yes. Musician.
Yes. So you said Emmett's a bass player, right?
Yes.
And he's
self-taught, very good. We got him a bass. Actually, it's going to be, I think, a 2-year anniversary of him playing bass in a couple of weeks here. I was a drummer, so I got him like a drum pad, and it wasn't working out, and it's loud. So then I thought, hey, why don't we try a bass just for fun? And he just loved it. And then Musician, just one of the coolest apps ever. So like, again, helping parents out. They start the kid off on popular music, right? Emmett's over there playing like dun, dun. He's like, look, I can play AC/DC, you know? So by the way, he thinks he's so good by playing like one note. So it's a very well developed app. And he's just doing that, and then he keeps playing like more and more songs. Then you do level 2, then you do level 4, and now he self-taught. He knows how to slap the bass, knows how to play jazz, knows how to play
the bass. He knows how to do that now.
Oh, he knows how to slap at the bass.
No, very nice.
So we just got him into an actual music school, since again we're settled for a little bit, to actually start teaching him technique. But he can stand on his own. He actually played in a band last year with me. So, and this is again a year ago. So 1 year into bass, he was good enough to play in a band, and now he's into his 2nd year. So Usation was just a great little tool because it keeps the kids very entertained and especially when you're traveling, you don't have much to do. It's honestly, we don't allow a lot of video games, if any at all. So that's all they have to do is just like go do music or do something else,
Well, it's interesting because, as a home, like as kids that I knew growing up around my area that were homeschooled, I don't even know if they ever got any like music classes. I mean, that's, forever, going to elementary school, even through even through middle school, like music was part of it. Doesn't matter. Like you're going. In high school, you had a choice, right? But like up till 8th grade, you're going to some sort of music class, and whether it be choir or band, right? Band was a choice, but even so, like when I was a kid, we had, what do they call those things? The recorders. Remember those? Yeah, I could play 2 at one time. I was that good, I had one. I could play all sorts of songs. Yeah. Never had a little lamb. Don't worry, I'll play both sides. Oh, but so it's interesting that you kind of like, I guess, integrated that into your, more so. It sounds like it's more so of it's a, how do you say that? It's not, you don't want to play video games. You're going to be actually learning something along the way.
Yeah, we're trying to avoid screen time as much as possible. Yeah. We don't have a game console, right? Well, I guess we do, but it's like
we have good old fashioned Wii,
a Nintendo Wii that's like 50 years old, right? And that's all. We have like 1 or 2 games. It's like a family event. It's like not online, nothing. And it's like maybe in a year we'll play it 4 times. But aside from that, try to limit screen time as much as possible, so they kind of have to find alternatives.
Go outside, do something, and then like our kids just play either soccer, they go roller skating. I mean, just let them be kids, right? Because it only lasts a short time.
That ain't no kidding. I'm still trying to be a kid, so I'm going skiing tomorrow. 31 years old and beating my body up, but I love it.
Hey, great looking 31-year-old.
Hey, it bounces right back. 31 is great. Once you get to 40, I heard it's not so great.
Yeah.
Not so
great. We'll touch base again when we get 40, guys.
That's a long time.
Yeah, we got a little bit of time left. We'll be all right. All right.
5 more years.
Almost 5 more? You're 35?
Oh yeah.
I guess so.
You're
35.
I'm 33.
Yeah, you old.
I'm 31. 1, 2, 3. Look at us go.
All right.
Yeah. So I'll let you know when you guys are 40. You'll get a text from me. So you're 40 now, huh?
How does it feel?
Yeah, put me on your podcast again.
I will. Well, hey, you never know.
2001.
I might be beating Joe Rogan by then, so we'll see.
A lot of podcasts.
If I keep it up, I'm going to be doing great. But anyway, so you guys financially, you still have your business back in Chicago. Now you've also started this new thing with the travel show, and you've done super well with that and Valve reviews. So you got different avenues of income, right? But that's how you sustain this thing financially, right? It's not exactly the cheapest way of living, going and living in a motorhome, then traveling around the U.S. and parking here, parking there, whatever you may do. You still have to live or pay for life, right? The cost of living is still not always the cheapest thing, but it can be cheap if you boondock. But boondocking is not exactly what you guys do, if ever.
We don't boondock,
Not as much anymore, unfortunately. We love it. It's just, it's easier just to plug in because the membership that we have here with the campgrounds, we pay our yearly dues, and then that's it. Just the membership itself we had to buy, but it makes sense for us because it's cheaper that way, and we don't have to worry about paying extras.
Almost like a what is that word? Like a timeshare in a sense, like the membership we have, and this is where anybody who's in the RV world that has a family probably is in Thousand Trails, right?
Yeah.
Literally, you have 300 plus campgrounds to choose from, and depending what membership you have, you just literally just go into. We never have to pay per campground ever. We just go and jump around. So really, the most expensive part of it is just the fuel. So if you're not driving a lot, then you're not spending a lot. Aside from that, you just food. That's it. Food and fuel with this membership.
Yeah.
yes, a lot of people, if they're jumping to campgrounds they want, like let's say our membership doesn't have anything in Nashville, so then yes, we're gonna have to pay out of pocket if we want to stay in Nashville. But for the most part, like the friends and the families that we work with, we choose one of the campgrounds like close enough to an area that we want to be in, so it's not bad. So it's not as expensive as people think if you do it the right way.
Correct, but you can't just be acting like you're on vacation, right? So
no.
On that,
it just becomes life. This becomes your new normal. It seems weird to the outside world, but it's no different than somebody who used to live in an apartment who now has a house, right? The house is a whole different thing. It's your new normal, right?
Yeah.
This is our normal.
Yeah. So on that fact, I mean, since you guys had a business, so you had some income running in, but you've also built this thing as you've gone on in the next last 4 years, travel show and Val's Reviews. What are some specific tips you could offer people trying to earn an income on the road? And what about budgeting advice? You kind of just hit on the budgeting advice a little bit. You don't have to, food and fuel for the most part, insurance, obviously, and then other maintenance stuff. But what else could you, I guess, speak on that too?
Oh, I guess I'll say it. Okay. So budgeting is a personal choice. I mean, first off, if you don't know how to budget, figure out how to budget. Read a book, right? There's a lot of different apps you can use because I think a lot of people definitely are sitting on the credit card where they shouldn't be. You don't need all that garbage and crap. You can honestly live very affordably. Really, you can. There's no cost difference here in another house as long as you have the remote working option. I think a lot of people hate the RV world that they're stationary. That basically just means you're living in a tiny house, you're seeing your kids all the time. It really becomes torture. But
you're confined.
Yeah. And it's hard. So budget-wise, figure the finances out. Making more money, if you have a job, then that's your money, right? Content creation is different. That's a whole different ballgame, right? That's consistency. That's hard work. I find that most people that they want to be content creators, but they don't want to spend the 20, 30, 40, 50 hours of just watching other, like YouTube. Like, that's what I did. The reason our videos look a certain way is because I'm trying my best to become better. I'm trying my best to learn, trying my best to do video editing, colors, etc. So I spend hours on YouTube watching how to be a better creator. Where most people, they just grab a phone.
They think it's really easy, and they're like, "Oh, I just want to be a YouTuber." Like easier said than done. Sometimes it's just the editing takes so long. That's probably the hardest part of the whole content creation. You already know.
Yeah. It's brutal. It's like watching yourself talk over and over, messed up again, son of a buck, did it again.
You're like, do we even have a good viable shot here? It's like, oh, I have to do it again. And so like the one-shotters are usually so much easier to do, right? But you got to come across, natural and not like forceful on camera, because then people can, tell that. But it's definitely doable. Like if you want to start a business, either like remotely or be a content creator, just start and do it, and you'll find over time that you'll just get better and better. But definitely try to progress, and
you got to accelerate it. Yeah. Like you gotta work hard. You're gonna go to a job, you can get paid $70,000 a year, or you can learn a lot of skills, which will take you weeks, months, and then you can come in and ask for more money because you're way better. It's like, that's the whole point, is you want to be a content creator, then do the hard work to learn, watch videos, watch editing, watch coloring, watch angles.
But if you don't want to be a content creator, there's plenty of jobs that you could do remotely.
So many. I mean, I have people that have done insurance writing. I've done other people is like just sales, phone sales. You can do it. There's so many things. I mean, remote work, it just blew up and it's not going anywhere. Yeah. It's getting better and better. VA for somebody. You can be an assistant for somebody. You can do work camping. There's so many ideas. So many
ideas.
Podcasting.
I've actually had people who was like, why do you do it for somebody? I'm like, well, it just happened to be this way. I didn't grow up saying, I want to run a podcast. It just happened. It fell in my lap and here we are.
Back in the day, I don't think that even existed.
Yeah.
It just like blew up in like the past 5 years. Like, thing.
Well, Rogan and Howard Stern are like that too. Sure. And then like the Bob and Tom show is a big one as well. Like those are kind of like the OG podcast-ish types. And then obviously you got talk shows, right? Talk shows, which
Yes.
I can actually say this now. You guys were on a talk show. Sort of.
Oh, yeah, you can say it now.
Yes.
You yeah, you guys were on. You were on Dr. Phil.
We had people are like, the Dr. Phil? Like, the Dr. Phil? I'm like, what other
like
Dr. Phil is there?
Bald guy, yeah.
I mean, maybe they had a doctor named Phil. Who knows? A medical doctor. So, who knows? But yeah, no, the famous Dr. Phil. Yeah, we got invited to their show in November to do a special on alternative schooling.
World schooling.
Yeah.
That's what we talked about. The general topic was just, it was called F is for failure. The public school system gets an F and it fails. So there was people talking about different types of schooling. We were talking about world schooling.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, it's pretty damn cool. Either way, you guys got there and it's like almost like a time in the limelight. It's like Dr. Phil. It's like almost next to Oprah, Jerry Springer.
Jerry Springer.
Yeah.
He doesn't exist anymore. At least his show.
No. Who was that? Johnny Carson. You remember Johnny Carson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like the OG talk show. Guess where he's from? Nebraska.
Of course.
Woo-hoo! Of course. All right. So budgeting, you said, it's a choice, right? It's a lifestyle. You got to watch your own stuff. There's all apps to do that. And then financially, you guys have built a great little empire. You've done really well. You've had your own businesses back home. The recycling company, correct?
Yep.
And then you started the whole thing with the travel show and Val's reviews, and you guys are doing great with that. So kudos to you guys. There's a million ways to make money out there, people. You'll be fine. You'll figure it out.
For sure.
Community and connection for you guys. All right. So have you found a sense of community in the RV world? I just met you guys recently in Tampa, and I met everybody else around it. It seems like there's a huge sense of community around it. Everyone seems very nice. I didn't really catch any fake vibes, which is really cool. But RV rallies, community events, what does that look like to you guys? Full-time families? What does that look like to you guys?
So Full-Time Families is a membership that we're part of, and once or twice a year we get together in these big rallies, and basically we meet in a certain location and have a bunch of these full-time family members all get together and do like events. So throughout the week we'll do, it's kind of like camp, like day camp or camp if you want. So you're doing activities, you're doing like coffee talks, doing crafts together. What else? Like
coffee talks.
There's a talent show and
book club.
A book club, yeah, sure. Like you talk about random stuff in life. You talk about your kids. You talk about your
lots of fires. I mean, it's basically like a giant summer camp for a whole month. At least the big one that's in Madison's coming up in a month. That's the big one. But there's always these little small ones throughout that have like 20, 30 families. The big one's going to have like 130 families. They come from all over this area right now. And that's just a huge party.
Yeah, it's great to connect. The kids get to meet new people. We get to meet new people. So it's really great.
And on days like that, when you go to the camps, you said, I think on our first talk, you said that like there's events for kids and you won't see them for like 8 hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, thank goodness.
You're like trying to drag them in to have lunch because they're so busy, and it's great because they're out.
Yeah, just running around all day. Just come
so
back.
You guys do get time to yourselves for the most part during those times.
Yes, once a year.
Yeah.
Sleep. I'm going to take a damn nap. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, goodness. All right. So they have a lot for the kids. But when did you guys really start going to the rallies? Because you started out at this spot almost 5 years now. That has to happen right away. Did you guys like dive into the community, or were you kind of skittish at first?
No, we were, definitely like more like,
year.
Do we want to do this? Do we want to commit? Because it's either like a 6-month commitment or a lifetime commitment or something for the membership.
Well, or a year.
Okay,
it's not even that. It's the commitment to living in an RV. Like,
right.
That's a whole thing. Like
that's the biggest part.
You're going to the RV world, and once you make the commitment to sell your house, you're like, how long are we going to really do this for?
Yeah.
So it's like it's worth investing in these relationships, friendships, and only now and later on did we start thinking like, okay, we really should be getting more into the community if we're going to be doing this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it took you about a year and a half, 2 years maybe.
About a year and a half, because we didn't go to that first big family event. We went to the next one, and then we've been going ever since. So we've gone 3 times. 3 times. This is going to be our.
Well,
third.
we've gone around the country too, like Utah and stuff.
We've done like smaller ones
sporadically.
But good for everybody, you guys and the kids.
Yeah.
Yes, excellent.
Yes,
highly recommend.
Highly recommend. Thumbs up for those 1,000 trails as well. So you guys went about a little differently getting into the whole RV life. You kind of didn't stumble into it. You're like, we should do it.
Yeah.
We're doing it. Right? So what would you say for advice for beginners, or maybe even to yourselves? So like looking back at 4.5 years ago, what advice would you give yourself transitioning into full-time after, like, were you on the fence? Doesn't sound like you were on the fence at all. I found this baptism by fire, just I'm going for it.
Yep.
And then what misconceptions about RV life would you like to address?
Okay, so let's start with the misconceptions and then work our way in. So a like total misconception of like RV life is that you're going to be alone, and clearly with the full-time families or even like other memberships, with just building that community, like you have tons and tons of support systems and people that are there right, with you, right by your side, and they understand this life, because not everyone does, and it helps to have that community around you. And our kids are always social. They're always with friends. They're always with people. So that's another thing, is like, oh, these homeschoolers are so odd and weird and they don't have any social life. It's not true. We're very, very social, always with friends. And
it's still weird though.
What? Oh, they're your kids.
Definitely weird.
You're getting a little more. Yeah, it might be genetics. It's okay. I was that kid too. I was awful. That was, they didn't beat my personality away. That's they tried. And I went to a parochial school. I went to a Catholic school, K through 12, and I graduated high school with 34 people. Very small, right? And I mean, it was very tight knit. Everybody knew everybody. My hometown was 2,500 people. So like I could ride my bike across town. Everyone knew who I was. I was also walking on stilts downtown as a kid. Like I had like these 6-foot stilts, and I was just like, yeah, just that weirdo. So I had zero cares.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I was, and then my
campgrounds we stay at.
Yeah, my buddy and I. So we all had bikes, right? But if one bike was down, we needed to figure out how to ride together. And if we didn't have pegs, we had mountain bikes at one time. So I'd be on one pedal and we'd go like this. Like, really go down. We'd make it to the pool on one bike. Hey, we were thinking. That's what we were doing. We were like, well, how do we make this easier?
Oh wow, that's pretty interesting, because if one kid is smaller than the other, or like the I guess the weight difference.
Yeah, when the bike was like this, I was a touch heavier, but we were about the same size, so it worked out. We were really good at it. I was like, we can get going.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, we were talented young beings, but anyway, on that kind of homeschooling act, like you were just talking about being weird or not. I think you guys are going to come out like these kids that are in the homeschooling, that they're going to come out really well cultured, really well rounded, versus just say, hey, this is what you do. You're 8 to 5. The public school system really builds the 8 to 5 worker. That's what they do. Yeah. And it puts like we're training you to go to work.
Yes. Yeah. For sure. What's another misconception though?
It's not all old people. There's a lot of, yeah. So there's definitely a huge community of people that are like 40 and under.
Yep.
A lot of people just think it's all retired. And that is a huge portion of a very big part of it, but they don't realize how many families. Once you get into it, you're like, oh, there's actually a lot of families.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, like younger families with kids. So that's a huge plus, and it kind of makes it easier to dive into, the RV world. You're not just, traveling just with your family. You're traveling with all these families around the nation.
Yeah, like-minded people.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, so you get around people that are, they want to see stuff. They want to experience life in a different manner. I would love to do so. You know how hard it is to find someone that just wants to do that, though? It's like you guys already had each other.
What do you mean? Right here.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, I'll be the one. Get rid of the Jeep. Or I stay in the Jeep. How about that?
There you go.
I'll sleep in the back.
Podcast every day. Catch up to Joe Rogan.
We'd kill it. We'll get him. We're gonna get you, Joe Rogan. We're coming for you.
There you go.
Alrighty. So, advice for beginners, though, if you were to tell yourself something 4 or 5 years ago, what would it be?
Oh man.
Don't do it.
No, it was definitely like the best life-changing thing that I've done in my whole entire life. I wasn't afraid. I guess there were some fears, right? But I guess just don't be afraid to do stuff. Like, don't be afraid to dive into things that you're not familiar with, because that gets you out of your comfort zone. And at the end of the day, you become stronger. And so that would be like my advice. Just don't be afraid of doing things that are like crazy, okay? Because it's possible. Mm-hmm. It's possible.
Except drugs. Avoid those.
Yeah.
So I would say when we were starting off, like I would spend a little bit more time figuring out what RV, right? We just dove into it. Not really, again, we dove into it because we thought it was going to be vacation. Like we're like, hey, it's COVID, and we just bought the RV on a whim. Everything was shut down. This will be fun. Now looking back, would be like kind of more planning towards getting the right kind of rig for us, right? And for some people that could be a motorhome, for others it can't, but it's like really figuring out, okay, well, really you kind of do need space to do homeschooling. You actually need more space. Maybe you do need more closet space. Maybe you do need more storage. Like, depends how much. Like in our case, we don't actually need a lot of storage. We're more minimalistic than a lot of other people, but for some people, they need way more space, right? I hear families all the time complaining they don't have enough space, Then plan a little bit ahead, right? Just take the additional couple of days to really go to the dealership or visit, you know? That's something we definitely lacked. I would have spent a little bit more time. I do find a lot of families when they come in, they just want to explore as fast as possible. It's like 3 days here, 4 days here, 3 days here, and it gets exhausting.
Yeah.
I would have slowed it down slightly, and I would have plugged into other families faster. It took us over a year before we actually started plugging in with other families, and it took a little bit long. I started traveling with other families and kind of getting into the community, but we did it a little too late. So,
yeah, take your time a little bit. I heard one people, who was it? Exploring outside the 303. Kaylee, I think her name is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She went like 2 days, 2 to 3 days a pop for her first year. She's like, we could not do that. That's insane. That's moving your house every 3 days. No way. That'd be brutal.
Exhausting.
We did similar.
Yeah, we did that. We did it the first year too, and it was just exhausting because A, you're packing and going all the time, right? And and then B, like you're trying to explore a new city and then learn that new city and then navigate through that, and you're just trying to do all the things in that. It's just a lot.
Yeah.
No, don't recommend. So, okay, don't do that. That's one thing. Do not do. The one thing I really enjoyed what you said there, Val, was do it because it makes you stronger, makes you better. It's like if you don't get out of your comfort zone, you're never gonna grow. That's one I literally wrote down a quote. It was like something about your dreams only come true when you become more comfortable being outside of your comfort zone or whatever, or something along those lines. And I wrote it down on Sharpie, and it was like just a piece of paper, just a notebook piece of paper. I threw it on my wall. And I'm in Idaho now. That was a big move for me. Left Nebraska because everybody knows everybody in Nebraska, and there's a lot to be said about that in a good way. But I was not feeling like I was growing. And if you don't feel like you're growing, I didn't feel stuck, but I felt like I had to do it, right? To get out of the comfort zone, to actually build myself to who I want to be, I had to leave. So if you're feeling like that, buy an RV.
Yes.
And leave. There's my advice. Buy an RV and leave.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, goodness. So, all right. So you guys been around. You've done most of the U.S., 48 states for 50? Well, you haven't, obviously.
Not
Hawaii.
quite. We're
almost 40?
Not that cool yet, but we have done probably close to 40, yes. Over 40. I think 42 maybe.
Okay. So what are some of your favorite experiences, things, places? I mean, benefits that you had with your family or yourself that you didn't know, unexpected benefits. What are some of those favorite experiences that have come in the last 4 or 5 years?
Well, we definitely loved Utah. That was the coolest spot. I mean, like Moab, just
It's cool.
it's like Mars, you know, like on Earth, are we on planet Earth or Mars. That's beautiful. And I think just even getting to like these remote beautiful places, like just even boondocking or something, like on Badlands on the cliff of just, we have like the wildest stories, you know. It gives like a little spice to life, you know, and having those, I guess, moments happen in beautiful places is super cool.
Every area has its own little version of interesting life, right? And then going to New York, and New York's just a monster. It's amazing. You're going through these subways and you're visiting all these different places, grabbing coffee, and then you go to like Denver, Colorado, or into the mountains of Colorado, and then Park City, Utah. It's like every single place that you visit just kind of opens up like these cool little sparks of like memories. It's really cool. It's hard to say any like particular favorites. I mean, I guess usually Utah or Vermont are usually like very interesting, but it's like the consistent. We're always trying to find something. We're not the kind that just kind of sit. At least right now we're. But in general, when we're traveling, I don't just like to sit somewhere. We actually have to go and find these interesting places
and do stuff like hiking and
create the memories in a cities. Find like unique restaurants. Find a unique thing to do.
Different mystique everywhere you go.
True.
That is very true.
Yeah, I drove across the U.S. a couple times in every direction. Besides the Northeast, I've not been up there. That's someplace I really want to go fall time. But problem is, fall time is hunting season here, so it's like someday. I don't want. There's too many people up there. I don't want to go that way. I don't know. I'm a people person, but I'm like, I don't need to be around that many people. Yeah. I watched the documentary the other day called "Buy Now." Have you seen that yet?
Oh, you've mentioned that, yeah. No, I saw it. I saw like the beginning of it.
Okay. Well, you need to watch that. But anyway, they said like the decibel limit or the normal decibel level in New York is like 90. It's the same amount as like a scream, like someone's top of the yell scream. That's the normal level of decibels there. I'm like that. No, nothing about that sounds enjoyable to me. But
it's just a whole different feel. It's like when you're in the city. I mean, it's like no different than like if you live there, it's different. But it's like if you visit Tokyo, you would take in all the sights, sound, noises, and all that stuff. Going to coffee shops, it's like that's the special part about it. But then when you talk to people who live in New York, they're like, it sucks. Like a lot of people are saying it's too noisy, it's too loud. There's bums everywhere. It's dirty. But then when you go with that, like, I just want to explore it with those kind of like lenses and just like, see things new. It has a whole different vibe to it, right?
Most definitely, yeah. It's I want to go. I definitely want. I want to see what's the Central Park. I want to go to Central Park real bad. I remember watching Stuart Little as a kid. I'm like, I got to go there. You got to see that place. And then Elf when they're at Central Park and he's throwing them. He said, I got to go there. You got to check it out. It'd be sweet to see that. But what are some unexpected benefits from RV life that you might have come across since you've been doing it?
Well,
whether with yourself or the family.
There's definitely a learning curve to fixing things around the house, right? Because you have to fix things as they may break. And then also just learning to cooperate with your family members because you're with them 24/7. And
right here.
Yes.
It's right here.
Yes. It's like
can't dodge it. No.
Oh, see. Okay, so we're grabbing our charger because it's getting really low here.
We're almost done.
But one of the biggest things is 24/7 with your family members. So you're seeing them all the time, no privacy. And just learning to navigate, me time or having, date nights happen and away from the kids or, things like that. So just kind of navigating real life in a smaller confined space.
Yeah, there's the I can't remember who said it. I think it was Kate and Vern. Katie and Vern, you know them? Nomad Esters. I don't know if you ever met them. But anyway, you might have. They said whatever, if there's an issue or if there's good things happening, whatever it is, it's going to be amplified by 100 because you're there. It's there. I mean, it's you can cut the tension. Oh, people's also said it. Rob and Ashley said it. It's like you're there. I mean, it's either going to make you grow together or grow apart. It's going to be amplified real bad. So.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. It's either you're going to stay divorced or stay married or be divorced.
Wait, yeah. Get closer or get divorced.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You're going to either get closer or you get divorced.
Yeah.
So if you want to get divorced, buy an RV. It's the nice way to get divorced, you know.
Buy an RV.
Oh, definitely test your limits for sure.
Yeah, I believe it. Well, moving on from that, since you guys got to nail that on the head. Future plans. What do you expect? Like, where do you want this to go? What are your goals with your RV journey? Are you going to stay in a motorhome? Are you going to move into something else? You're going to do the destination trailer for a while. What is next for the travel show? And I guess Val's RVs too. Val's reviews.
So I think we are still struggling to kind of understand exactly what we want, but we definitely want to stay in the RV life. That's what we want. And if it may require us to stay stationary for the winter, we're totally cool with that. But I think other than that, we're just going to be traveling around. I mean, there's just so much to explore and see, and I think we just want to spend as much time as with our kids, because when they're out of the house, out of the RV.
Same time.
That's it. Which is quite interesting because we actually asked our kids what do they want to do with their life, and they're like, "Oh, we want to buy a Class C, travel around." I'm like, "Really?" So we're kind of planting seeds.
Yeah.
Where do you see it?
Millions of dollars in the bank account, a couple of Bitcoins. So
I'm gonna be sitting in Bali. If I make $1 million, I'm gone. See ya.
Bali live like a king for sure.
So I've been told.
True. Well, actually, I'm not. Yes and no. So I read an article recently. A good place if you want to live like a king is Borneo. So there has the best.
Borneo?
Borneo, yeah.
Where is that?
South.
You mean Bolivia?
She could be right.
What is Borneo?
I'm not sure.
Sir, I don't think that's a country.
Well,
but Bolivia.
I feel like it is. I feel like I've heard that.
Borneo. Isn't
Borneo island in Asia? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Oh, it's absolutely wonderful.
So there you can live like a king. It's not as popular. I just read an article.
It's just east of Singapore.
Yeah.
Really? Interesting.
I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a bunch because it's not as popular as Thailand or you have some, like Thailand is big for expats, Vietnam, but then you have these like other countries that have the same vibe but even stronger dollar, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, like for us, I would definitely much slower pace, really figuring out how are we gonna travel. That's all it boils down to is how are we gonna travel, as opposed to jumping around. Like we're gonna go west. We are not sure if we're gonna do that anymore because now we got to go back to a wedding and all kinds of different stuff, right? So plans have already changed even in the past month. Where originally we were going to do one thing, now it's a completely different thing. So we actually don't even know what we're going to do right now until we reshuffle our timetable. Yeah. So. Well,
4.5 years ago, Val just walked in and said, "Hey, we should do this." And I'm guessing you had plans before that. Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. So the Beatles say, one of them.
Yeah, that is true.
It's true.
It is true.
Should have bought Bitcoin then.
Should have. Yeah. I know. I got several buddies. I just missed my dad. No one told me about it. No one told me nothing.
Yeah, I know. No. It's easier to say now.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Well,
I had a buddy 10 years ago. He was trying to get rid of his Bitcoin at $900 a piece. He had 10 of them. He's like, "I need money." Whatever.
Whatever. Yeah. So rough. You got Bitcoin.
Yeah.
as far as plans, I guess we'll find out in a month or two because.
Yeah, I think after Madison we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We got to finish that. That's like
no
the
idea.
biggest plan that we have is go to this giant rally, hang out with all the families, and then from there figure out what life is going to be like.
Yeah,
so last year, this time, about this time was when we actually decided. It was actually exactly this time at the end of January is when I said, hey, why don't we just go to Asia, right?
Yeah, we bought tickets to Singapore, and then that was it. But this year is a little different. We don't have plans, so sometimes you have plans, sometimes you don't, and that's okay.
That's okay. Did you guys see the boat in Singapore? The boat on the hotel?
We did. Right from our. We did. Yeah. I mean, like we didn't go to the top. I guess we were so jet lagged, but we did see it every single day waking up in our hotel room.
Our hotel was kind of facing it, so.
Sweet. Did you go through the tree garden thing, the fake tree garden?
Yeah. It was so cool.
How was that?
Yo, go to our YouTube. There's an entire series that is still all of our YouTube fans still think we're in Thailand. Right? They're gonna be like, wait, you're not in Thailand? No, we have for almost a year.
Go to the YouTube.
Yeah, we have an entire vlog that's basically
it shows what
everything that we did. We finished. They got Singapore, multiple vlogs, Singapore, multiple talks, vlogs, Thailand, and then South Korea, and then Tokyo, or not just Tokyo, Japan. So there's a whole series coming out, still ahead of us. So go to YouTube.
I've heard one thing about Singapore. I've heard it's absolutely wonderful, and it's like the cleanest city you'll ever see in your life.
Oh yeah.
Like you'll go to jail for spitting gum out.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no gum anywhere.
Yeah, don't do that.
Facts. Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Well, you guys kind of got that. You know, got an RV journey ahead of you. You don't know where it's going to go. Do you think it'll ever end?
Eventually, yes. It gets exhausting, I think, if you're constantly traveling. But if you're stationary, like in a destination trailer, I think this is more like if you're like kind of a slow vibe kind of person, then this is more doable. But if you're like love to travel and go, then it gets exhausting.
We're transitioning more into this hybrid model. Hybrid model where maybe at least during the winter we just stay. Because non-RV people won't understand this. They just think, oh, you just sit in a campground. That's not actually normal. Everyone that comes to Florida, they jump around. Because with your membership, at least with the membership that we have, the one that's the, to stay for free, one of the reasons you can do that is because you have to rotate out. So they don't actually let you stay 4 months in a campground. It's you have to leave every 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah. And that's how the membership works, is you're constantly rotated out. So we actually paid out of pocket to stay at a campground because we did not want to keep moving, packing everything up, packing everything up and moving. So it's a completely different life. So that's one of the things that people that if they do go into that and they get that membership, sure, you pay no rent, you stay for free, but you got to constantly move every 2 to 3 weeks, which is not bad. I mean, you can jump around Orlando. There's like 6 different campgrounds you jump around, but you never get to actually settle. So do you sign them up to it? Do you go to a gym? Do you go to sports? Do you go to all this stuff? When you're constantly moving, it becomes harder.
Yeah, it'd be kind of difficult. I could see that getting exhausting. I mean, every 2 to 8. I mean, you get on a rhythm, right? You get on a schedule. You kind of know, but it's still brutal. You're moving all the time. You know, I just like literally the last month I've been on the road. Like my room is an absolute mess. My life is in shambles at the moment, but I couldn't imagine doing it in an RV. It'd be tough. I did that for like 4 days and I didn't even get settled into it, but it wasn't really a living RV. It was just like a bunk bed RV. So it's tough, but all right. What's some gadgets and gizmos that you absolutely love? I don't remember what we talked about last time. I don't think any. You guys are pretty minimalistic, if I remember properly.
Yeah, no gadgets, no gizmos. Just if you're a content creator, you don't need anything fancy. We do everything on an iPhone. I mean, all of the vlogging and all of the vertical filming for Instagram, it's all on an iPhone. You don't need anything. Yeah. So, but aside from that, no gadgets, no gizmos.
What do you guys shoot in? Do you guys shoot in 4K 60? No,
1080p.
You do 1080?
Yeah, it doesn't. It's 4K just eats up too much. You don't need it. You honestly do not need it. You can barely tell the difference. It takes up too much data, and no one really cares when you upload it to Instagram.
Yeah.
So we
Do you ever use cinematic?
That's our primary.
We
Cinematic. Yep.
Oh, you always use cinematic.
Yep. Always use cinematic. Yep. That's probably 70% of what we shoot is in cinematic. Unless I need to do a wide angle shot, then I'll do my wide angle. But aside from that, it's usually cinematic.
It's wonderful. It just looks so good. Like, yeah, why do I need to go buy a new DSLR or whatever? The Sony, I was looking at Sony like A13 or something like that. It was fantastic. It'd be a great camera, but it's $2,500. Like, this thing does dang near the same thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. All right. So no gadgets, gizmos, but last question here. I ask everybody, you kind of hit on it a little bit. What's your why? Why did you start, for one, and why do you keep going? Because it's not a normal lifestyle. It's sometimes easier to do to, grab onto the normality, the mundanity of it all. So why do you do it?
Well, one, I think for us, it's definitely about family, and we want to spend as much time with our kids, and because we want our kids to grow up and be best friends with us. So it's kind of like opposite of how we grew up, I would say. I mean, at least for me, like I want to be close to my kids when they're older. So
I want to be close with her too.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's
one of these days we'll have beers together again.
I mean, and also it's really great for our marriage too, because we're best friends. We're not what we were 10 years ago. We were just kind of roommates, and we would go about our lives and just come home and like, how was your day? How was your day? Cool. But now we're like, we life together. We do life together, I guess.
We do
most definitely.
Yeah, pretty much it.
Anything that you want to add?
Oh man, so much.
The why? Oh, freedom and the ability to do anything we want at any given time. Most of the time.
Yeah, well, we try.
Yeah.
We try. It forces you to think, okay, when you get into, depending how you want to live it, right? I like to live life to the fullest, to the absolute, just grab as much as you can out of it, because ultimately at some point in time you are going to die. You are going to disappear. You're going to cease to exist on this earth, and then you're going to think, okay, you're going to look back and be like, what have I accomplished in this world? So it does force you to sit there and think like, okay, you're sitting here, you don't have these guy nights, you don't have these girl nights where they're just sitting and doing absolutely nothing. You're sitting there with each other. So what do? Well, you can also just sit and watch TV, but then it's not comfortable in an RV, go to a house. So you're sitting there thinking, okay, well, what else can you do? Start thinking about ideas. You start creating new things. You start working out. Like, there's so many different things that you start building each other up if you do it correctly, right? Yes, you do have your downs, but then if you get out of that down in a correct way, it should be in theory higher than when you had your low, right? You're forcing this growth on yourself, and it seems like most of the people in this world, in this life, tend to grow and become better humans in general, right? But we do it for the kids, for sure. We want to wake up one day and be like, hey, remember that time 10 years ago? We were the travel show. What you think about that? It's a cool little thing that you go above, and it doesn't even have to be the influencing or marketing or creative side of it. It just has to be the fact that, hey, you traveled nonstop. You saw all these amazing places. You want to look back when they're 20s.
The memories, not the things, not the materialistic things, I guess.
Yeah, when they're going to be 20 years old, they're going to be like, man, I actually had a really cool childhood. Actually pretty cool. Other kids might say like, yeah, we did a couple of vacations and I had high school buddies. I don't know if that's good or bad, but at least in our mind, we think that we're doing the right choice in our particular case, in the way we're raising them up. We think having these experiences is going to be more beneficial. And it comes at a cost, a lot of stress, a lot of headaches.
Sacrifices,
problems,
Yeah, it's worth it though.
Word.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. I remember this was the first conversation we had. I was like, yeah, we're going to get along. Because I remember that specifically. So you hit on a lot of that the first time we talked. There's another thing that Type 1 Detour, you've heard of them, right? Remember Chris and Amanda? Oh, it's okay. Either way, he says like you don't owe anybody an explanation for what you think is doing or for what you think you're doing for your family is the best choice.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You owe no explanation for that, and that's something you guys are taking to heart, and you guys are showing your kids an awesome childhood. I had an awesome childhood, but not the same, right? You had a great childhood. At least you probably respect what happened. Like you look at it, you get to this life, and you look back now. And it's a totally different aspect that you look at. Like being in it, obviously, you're like, well, I want to do all these things. Well, I couldn't. My family couldn't. We were strapped in a little different way. Very landlocked, right? I wanted to see all the things. I was just that kid. We were growing up with the internet, seeing all these things. I wanted to go see those things. But you guys are giving your kids that opportunity to do so, which is completely commendable, which is so awesome for them. They're going to come out killing it when you guys are empty nesters, you know, whatever that looks like, whether it's in a home or an RV.
We hope so. Or they'll be like, or the other side of it will be like, oh, we lived in an RV and traveled. Like we didn't.
Life sucks. I went to Japan.
Yeah.
Ew, I held a sushi. Gross.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't know the difference, right? So like maybe that happens.
We don't know. We'll see. We'll find out.
Yeah, maybe they find home in a totally different manner. You know, maybe they just like they moved to San Diego and like, oh, I don't need anything else. It's all right here.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, that is an interesting point. Like I've read articles before of people who do travel full time, but it was a different type of travel. It was more of like families that constantly move. So it's a new school every single time. They don't actually have a community. Some of those people say they hated it.
Yeah.
I do think the difference here is that we're traveling with friends and families to places together and we all meet up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Finding new friends in a new school, new job, new business, or traveling for business, that's probably very hard. It's a very, very different type of life versus what we're doing.
Shakes up your life a little bit.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Is there anything else you guys like to share? Thank you again for showing back up second time. Well, I'm so sorry.
No. I love talking to you. What are you talking about? You're awesome.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, much thank you. Likewise.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having us on the podcast. And I don't know if I would share anything else or add to, but I think we've covered all the bases. You've been wonderful, and thank you again.
Yeah. Nothing else.
Much thank you. I appreciate it very much. You guys are, when I met you in person, it's so weird meeting people in person after talking to their screen. Like it was the raw and real of like getting that like right there. And then you actually, now it's actually real. Like you're actually there. Like you actually do exist. Like, you see people through a screen and then you meet people. You're like, oh yeah, you're actually real.
Yeah. Not fake.
Yeah, these are real people. It's like now we're in our own simulations together. This is great.
One day it's going to be virtual reality. We'll just be on headsets talking to each other,
Yeah, player one. Ready Player One.
Yes.
I'll be player two.
We just watched it again.
So good.
The book is better, though. I can say that. Definitely read the book if you haven't seen it, if you haven't read it.
But the book doesn't have the soundtrack, man.
What do you mean? You just play like an 80s soundtrack while you read the book.
The soundtrack in that movie is top tier. It's crushes it. Absolutely crushes it. Well, Mark and Val, thank you again for being here. Everybody watching, go follow them. They're like the best. It's literally one of the best places to be. The Travel Show, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. All their links right there. Val, I'm sorry I didn't have yours on there, but Val's reviews. She's growing. Right. She's growing fast. And
it's RV tours anyway, so it's not a big deal.
It's a big deal. Don't let him say that.
You're a big deal, Jake. You're a big deal.
Awesome, guys. Well, again, thank you very much for being here. Everybody out there, please give us a follow. Help us grow. We'd love to talk to more people like this. Anyone in the RV or camping side of things, we want them on here. So shoot me a DM. Say, hey, talk to this person. I'd love to talk to them. I'll reach out to anybody. I'm just one more yes away from getting them on. So it's going to happen. Putting it out there in the universe. But Val and Mark, thank you again so much for being here. Everybody out there, absolutely. Please stay tuned for more from the RV Voice.